Hey there, Yuris here, and welcome to Community Life. Here we talk with the amazing humans from the community world about their life journeys and learn from each other. And today we have a conversation with Ece Kurtaraner, a community strategy consultant, a good tomato, and a co-working queen, an online events and workshops facilitator, and a multi-hyphener who has this weird ability to bring people together and keep them there. So, hello, Ece.
Hello.
I told you a little bit that when I first saw your name, it was not that easy to understand how to pronounce it correctly. So tell me the backstory of your name.
Backstory is it is a Turkish name, so I am originally from Turkey, and the backstory is not too much a backstory actually. It's a common name in Turkey, but my brother chose my name, so I have an older brother. So I guess when I was born, he was keen to name me as Ece, so my parents went with it. And because our last name is long, so my parents had this thing with like, okay, we're gonna give them short names so that they're not gonna have like long, full names. So that's that. And then I usually like to say this as like a conversation opener. Don't use. I mean, I don't have to use that in Turkey that much, but since I moved to the UK, and since people are usually like struggling with pronouncing my name, so then I explain it. Okay, it's actually Ece means like queen, or like in old Turkish, it's not like in common language. So it brings some like good conversations.
And your brother named you. So how it happened? Like your parents asked him, like, "Hey, why don't you come up with a name for your sister?" Like,
I don't know the details, but I just know that my brother was insisting on having a um like sister, like a small sister or brother, so he was keen to have a sibling. um so maybe that's why my parents were like, okay, you wanted you wanted a sibling, you named them.
what are your relationships with your brother?
Oh, it's really nice. Yeah. I mean, he is 9 years older than me, so when we were small, or when I was small, or when I was younger, it was less friendly because then we had like a big age gap. But now we both grown ups. It's like more like we are friends, and he lives in Manchester as well, so it's good. Like we both moved to Manchester after living in other countries and other cities for a couple of years.
Have you ever wanted to be a queen?
Nah. Okay, there is a thing. Um, it's it's a it's partly a joke, partly true, because I don't want to get cross with feminists. As being a woman myself, I'm a feminist as well. But I always like have like was joking about um because I have, okay, this goes really private. If anyone is not interested about my hormone levels, they can skip that part. But so most of the women I know, myself included, I have like lots of fluctuation. So I always say that, like, how can people like be leaders or like be queens or like something like that? Because then I can just make decisions based, not based on logic, but based on my emotions. So, but yeah, it is partly a joke. There is no sexism or no anti-feminism here.
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about. It's hard to tell things that you are thinking about because people like, oh my God, how could you? That's exactly why we have from time to time conversations like tough talks with Wiki Cumberbatch because we just talk
Ah,
about
yes.
stuff. So yeah, no worries at all. Like,
Yeah.
I always say that if somebody don't like us, it's their own problem. So let's
Kind
just
of.
let's just go with it. Yeah. And why did you decide to move to Manchester?
Ah, London was very expensive.
Okay,
Very
so
easy.
let's start with that. Like, why the UK?
Um, so I'm married. Me and my partner was looking for, um, yeah. So we wanted to move abroad when we were living in Turkey, and we were looking for opportunities. And there is a special working visa for you between UK and Turkey. So that's why UK. So I came here and I established my own business. and I'm still on that working visa. So I can't work or I can't be employed, but I can work as a self-employed person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's actually how I established my business and how I became a freelancer as well. So it was like a big leap from like a new country, a new city, a new way of working. Um, but I'm so glad there are no regrets. I'm loving it. I love working for my own as well. I love the flexibility it brings, the freedom it brings. Um, and after COVID, and after we start working remotely, we're like, okay, we don't have to live in London anymore because it's outrageously expensive and there is not too much benefit of living there. So we moved to Manchester.
What was or maybe still is the hardest part of being an immigrant?
Mm, the hardest part at the beginning was isolation and adaptation. Um, that sold through communities. I'm grateful for the freelance communities that I've joined. So I was like, felt really like not alone, and then learned lots about how to find my way around the UK because you don't know anything when you would know this as well because you
Yeah,
you moved
exactly.
as
Yeah.
well. So you don't know anything when you move to a new country. So for locals, most things are natural. It's easy, but then you need to find like the nitty gritty of like how to open a bank account, how to send a letter, like really easy things. But then you have to learn everything from scratch. So it's great to have either a community of people from your own country that be moved to that new country that can help you out, or having local friends that are understanding and can help you out, can help you out with dumb questions, because you sometimes ask like, how do I get an appointment from a doctor? Like you just ask that and it's very natural to a local, but then you don't know anything about it. um so I think at the beginning that was the hardest part. After 5 years, I think the hardest part is still, um, you don't belong to both countries, but also at the same time you belong to both countries.
Yeah.
So you never can leave the other thing behind you. So I'm sure it's the same for you as well, and because your country is like going through really hard times too. Like you have to, not have to, but you check all headlines for both countries.
Yeah.
You get anxious about things that are happening in both cultures. So it's kind of like doubling the anxiety sometimes.
And I feel like it's a little bit of pressure because, when you are from one country and living in another country and people know that you are from another country, you kind of have to be like a face of your country. You have
Kind
to
of.
act in this like good way so people, look at you and say,
Yeah.
"Oh, those people are good people."
That's also true. Also, the guilt, like, because you do some changes in your life so that you live a life that is more suitable for you. And most of the time, us immigrants move to a country that we can have a better quality of life. It it can be I mean, this would change for everyone, right? For me, it's about living more freely, having like a better culture around me, etc. But then you enjoy these benefits, but at the same time you feel a little bit guilty about the people that you left behind. So it's never like passes. So or like the problems. So you struggle a lot, but then you can't complain about your struggles to your family and friends that you left behind because then they're struggling with totally different things. So
Yeah.
you can't be complaining about like, oh, like we're having this problem about our house, blah blah, because they're like, well, we're having a shit time here, so why are you complaining to us? So you need to find your people. You need to find your own community when you move.
You need to find the right people to complain to.
Yeah, that's true. But you always need people to complain to. You can't do everything on your own.
Yeah, I totally get that. And those people who will not like also take it personally, because some I know that many community builders are, if somebody shares with them their stories, they're like taking it personally. It's super hard in that way. But you know, when you can like be a little bit like listen to a person, hear the person, but not like trying to wear their shoes, I feel like it's a little bit easier, like for both sides, you know, not for just one side, but
Yeah.
both sides. And you already told a little about your parents, so let's start from the beginning. Tell me
Oh,
about your parents. Who are they?
well, um, who are they? So they're addicted to making and creating things. So they're kind of people who can't stand still. Um, they moved a lot. They changed careers a lot. They changed hobbies a lot. Um, and currently they're living the retirement dream. So they're living in a seaside town, having their garden, growing their own vegetables and fruits, and doing like creative hobbies. They're really crafty and creative. So that's them.
Did you become a multi-hyphener because of them?
Probably might be, yeah. I think it's that, and also um, probably my perfectionism also bring this generalist r- vibe as well, because since I was a kid, I always like start a new hobby, start to learn something new, and then I get bored easily and then switch. I think this get bored part is I can understand it now that I'm an adult. I can understand it. Probably the get bored part was like when when things become a little bit challenging, I was getting bored really easily because
Mhm.
then I'm like, oh no, I don't like it. I can't do it. So I'm gonna try something new. Um, so I often haven't passed the threshold of like you know being an expert, or not being an expert, but being fluent on, let's say, like I learned how to play piano, I learned how to play guitar like when I was a kid. But then, you do the beginner steps and then
Yeah.
things get challenging. And then, yeah, that's when I quit and switched to a new hobby.
It's pretty much what I see in my kid right now, you know, because he's growing and like he's learning. If he likes something, if he understands something, it's amazing. Like if he getting good grades in school, like yeah, go for it. But if something like or teacher told him something like not good or like he received a bad mark or just he don't understand, doesn't understand, like no, I will never, I hate it. So share with me a little bit of your wisdom how to deal with it.
Hmm. I think it took me a long time to learn that it's okay to not to be good at everything. So I guess I don't know how to, I don't have a kid, so I don't know how to reflect this on your own child, but I think it's about explaining them somehow that it is okay to sometimes be average, um, and it's more than normal. And then also, I always felt so guilty about quitting lots of things. Um, I guess there's a thing about like, if you don't have to do something, you don't have to do it. Like, of course, you have to go to your school, you have to study, you have to like pass your exam, you have to work, you have to earn money, etc. These are the things, like we
Mhm.
have responsibilities. But for hobby kind of things, if you didn't like playing piano and then you quit it, you don't have to feel guilty about it. Like, you didn't like it, you tried. It's okay. Like, no one told me that.
How did your parents react when you quitted some of hobbies?
Um, they were very supportive. Like, they're the one sending me to lots of these like courses and like summer activities. But I guess I felt that like always like labeling that as like a quitter kind of
Oh,
person, or like, she's this person that changes her mind a lot kind of person. So maybe that is something. I'm glad that my parents doesn't speak English so well. So
what are some hobbies that you have similar with your parents?
um my father loves painting and drawing, So I started enjoying illustration, like doing illustrations and like painting recently. That is very similar. Um, my mom loves making like quilts, baby quilts.
Hmm.
So she sewed them herself, and she brings lots of like patterns together. I do like that as well. I do like doing collages. So very similar things.
And have you ever thought about? I see a lot of paintings behind you, and they're beautiful. And have you ever thought about, I don't know, maybe selling some of your paintings
No,
or
these are
do
not
some kind of
mine.
business?
These are not mine for sure.
I saw
These
that
are mine.
those both are amazing, and I saw, they look pretty similar.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they're kind of like the style that I like. So I bought the prints of the artists that I get inspiration from. But no, I haven't talked about selling because I like it as a hobby. I don't. I'm actually um I'm actually forcing myself hard to not to try to earn money from my hobby.
Yeah, so like it remains hobby. Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not one more business.
Yeah.
Do you know Ashwin Chako?
No.
I think that you should check his paintings because I feel like you will like them. And
All right.
I met him on a freelance podcast, and he does amazing thing. And I even bought a T-shirt with some of his paintings. So I think that you will be really interested in it.
Okay.
And tell me, why are you a good tomato?
Um. So to tomato joke came from so when in 2020 when there was like lots of lockdowns and things, I started hosting online co-working sessions for freelancers. Um, and then like we are using the Pomodoro technique, and Pomodoro means tomato in Italian. So I started playing with this tomato image or like tomato name a lot. I created some illustrations, me dressed as a tomato, etc. So it's just like became like a nickname for me, or like sometimes some of my friends were calling me Queen of Co-working, so I was calling myself Queen Tomato, etc. So it's just become a joke. Um, and then I realized there's a saying in English called like a good egg. I think
Mm.
if you like someone, or if you think that someone is like a genuine, like a nice person, you say like they're one of the good eggs, I guess. So I thought maybe like I'm one of the good tomatoes.
Do you like dishes made with tomatoes?
I do like them.
Okay, so match. Got it.
Yeah. But can I be honest? Not the ones that in the UK. I do miss I do miss Mediterranean tomatoes.
What is the difference between Mediterranean cuisine and the UK's cuisine?
um
Like the number one that you can like feel
ingredients.
it.
Ingredients. Um I mean, of course, like Turkey doesn't have the climate to and that's sorry, the UK doesn't have the climate to um grow lots of veggies and fruits, so they import a lot. Um, but yeah, it tastes different.
Yeah, exactly. Once you said that you realize that not everyone belongs to the 5 a.m. club. So have you ever been its member?
I don't think so. I mean, I can't even try 5 a.m. It's too early. Um, yeah, no.
Yeah, good for you. It's crazy. I tried. Believe me, it's crazy. Yeah, my wife hated it.
Yeah. I mean, only probably if I'm flying to somewhere, I might wake up at 5 a.m. to go to the airport, but that's it.
Once or twice or sometimes a year being its member.
Exactly, yeah. But no, and also it's about like I guess it's not about waking up 5 a.m., but this 5 a.m. club is about this toxic positive no, toxic productivity people. Um that I fall into that rabbit hole too bad. I guess that's why I'm more cautious about it now. So I fell into this, like, watching these YouTube um, productivity bros
Mm,
of like doing something every day. Like, it doesn't have to be 5 a.m., but like, having a morning routine, and then being productive, not breaking the chain. Like, and I tried to follow that thing, and I felt so guilty, and then so like failure
yeah.
with myself because I couldn't follow the thing. It took me so long to understand is that it is not realistic, and most of the people talk about productivity are men. Women have different cycles, like different productivity levels.
Yeah.
Um, too many things that are like very toxic about that kind of a genre. So it's about that.
And I feel like they seldom talk about this feeling of the guilt because, you know, it's okay to stop doing something if you don't like, if you don't feel like doing it anymore. And it's
Yeah.
always, it's one point of your life you can play piano, and one point of life you can just adore going for a hike and you don't want to play piano. So it's totally okay. And yeah, there are a lot of blank spaces, I would say, in all this productivity stuff.
Yeah. And like that's the thing because I guess it was popular sometime. I don't see it as often now. Maybe the algorithms doesn't show me anymore. I don't know. Probably it's out there, but yeah, one era, especially I guess during lockdowns as well during COVID, like people strived for um, some structure in their lives, so maybe that became more popular.
Hmm.
But yeah, it does, like, not every day is same, so you can't just blame yourself for, oh, I didn't do my exercise today, etc., because then you have to take into consideration of every day is different from each other.
If you have your phone somewhere near you, get ready. You'll get some productivity stuff in your feed. So,
Oh yes, probably.
tell me the backstory of your 60 days of making in 2024.
Oh, so this is I created this year for the first time. I created some kind of yearly goals for myself. So I used to, when I was doing this toxic productivity thing, gave myself really like meaningless goals of like, I'm gonna exercise every day, like things like that. Um, so after I've went through a bit of a period of learning myself and what I truly enjoy, this year I tried to give myself like some goals which are a little bit challenging, but also some goals that are truly I would enjoy. So, like I like making things, like I like craft, like being crafty. I like drawing things or just like creating collages, just playing with paper and like things like a child. So I gave myself as a goal
Hmm.
because then I'm thinking it doesn't have to be always like challenging things. So that I keep reminding myself, okay, this is something that I really enjoy, so it
Yeah.
should be in my um daily not daily but like weekly routine or like monthly routine. So I should like I should remember of when I look at my yearly goals, I should remember that, oh, I actually haven't made anything for a while. So maybe that's why I'm feeling really like grumpy, because then I haven't played with the colors and the
Yeah.
crayons for a long time. So that's why. So I was aiming to do at least 60 days, but I actually already passed 20 days of making, so probably I'll exceed that goal.
It's like a good reminder for you to do something that you really love doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What do you plan to use your junk journal made from delivery packaging for?
I have no idea. It's there.
I see it.
It's still empty. Um I'm actually thinking of probably turning that into like a travel memory thing.
Hmm.
I do have a like an Instax Max, what's that? Instax Mini, like this Polaroid camera
Hmm.
things.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I do like taking lots of photos. So I'm thinking I might like stick the photos and then maybe like paint or maybe write some things about that day. So, but haven't done it yet. It's still waits there for me to do. It's a project.
It's so fun. I have no idea why, but even before you told about photos, I was thinking like, why don't you put photos in there?
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking. And then it doesn't have to. So there is one person I follow tagged in that post as well that you
Mhm.
mentioned. Forgot his name. James Burke, I guess. He does
Yeah.
like junk journaling. So I might do that too. It's literally like, for example, you go to somewhere and then you collect all the receipts, like all the brochures or like anything that you got, or like, for example, you went to shopping, you just like have the shopping bag. So he sticks everything on that page from that day, all the junks, including photos, and then he writes some things, etc. So maybe it's an inspiration.
Yeah, go with the flow. Exactly.
Yeah,
How many full notebooks of sketches do you already have?
probably zero.
Why?
Well, because I just started sketching, that's why. And also I have too many notebooks. And then I don't start a new one without finishing a new one. I always like I just sketch on anything that I find.
What do
So
you
that's
do
why I
with
don't have any finished ones.
what do you do with all those notebooks?
Um just have them. I just have them here. Look.
Where is your love for notebooks from?
I have lots of notebooks. I don't know, they're cute. Um I have no idea. I actually gave So I haven't bought a notebook for a year because I said, okay, I have enough. So until I really need a new one, I'm not gonna buy a new one. So I'm trying to control my notebook addiction.
And I can imagine how your brain is trying to justify why you need another notebook.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the problems.
You created Fora Club, and in Turkish, Fora means to unfurl sails. So, where is this connection with sailing from? Why do you love this sailing thing?
Um, it kind of has a bit of connotation to my father's background because he was in the Navy.
Mhm.
Um, Actually, he left Navy even before I born, so I haven't experienced that kind of a life. But I guess it's like a thing in our family to use some like naval terms for things. Um, and I don't know, I love swimming, I love the sea, I love the ocean all the time. So it felt, and I like that fora is like a phonetically it's like easy to say in English, and it
Mhm.
also plural, no, not plural, singular of forum, and
Mhm.
forum means where people gather. So I do events. So I don't know, it felt like everything is just like a puzzle pieces connecting to each other. And yeah, I do love being in the sea so much, so that's why it's kind of like give me lots of energy to think about like sails, being in the sea, like going freely with the wind. Yeah.
So, you are great at sailing seas of events, but have you ever sailed the real sea?
Um, not, I mean, I haven't sailed myself, but I've
Mhm.
been in like sailing boats and stuff. Yeah.
Are you planning to sail yourself ever?
Not in the near future. I think it's a hard skill to learn. I might learn it if I think it's not a bucket list item that I have. I do love being in the sea, but not necessarily, you know.
Just
Um,
in case you ever think about that, go to Pat Cooney because he has yacht. And I remember once he shared his experience, the feeling when you just go into the open water and you turn off your motor and you open your um, open your sails and you listen to the sound of wind going to sails. And I was like,
yeah,
every time I ever hear about yachts or sailing, it definitely goes to my mind. So Ed is definitely the person to talk
yeah.
to about that.
Okay, I'll talk about it. Um, But yeah, I think it's not like a skill. I'm just learning how to drive a car. So maybe if I if I can do that, I might think about other vehicles.
Okay, so talking about the car, what is the hardest part for you?
It's coming from this perfectionist thing, right? So if it's a hobby, I can quit it, but then I really need to learn how to drive a car, and then it become that I came to that position of that I know how to do it,
Hmm.
but to be able to do it better and pass my test, I need to like get better, get better, get better at it. It's challenging. Um, and also it comes from, I don't know, I feel really anxious because there is a potential, even though I have my instructor and he has the pedals, etc. But I
Hmm.
feel that anxiousness about like at the potential of harming someone else.
Mm.
um I guess I still feel like because the car is like bigger than me and like stronger than me, so like there might be that I might lose control and then I might hit someone. Like I feel a little bit of fear of harming someone else.
You know, it's interesting. I read somewhere, and I can, as a driver, I can feel a little bit of it. When you are in the car, so you are not as a person anymore. So the car is you basically, and you know,
Yeah,
you feel all of this amount, and it's interesting how it works in our brain. But yeah, when you're in the car, do you feel like it's a part of you, or are you still kind of separated?
probably I'm not feeling a part of it yet because I've just started learning. So
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm guessing when I practice a lot and when I start, like when it becomes like a normal life, um, I'll probably feel like that. So it will come natural. It will come natural to me. But right now, I do feel like operating a vehicle. I'm not feeling like it's part of me.
Yeah, exactly. And what do you like about it? What do you like about driving?
Currently, I don't like about anything, but I like the idea of the freedom that it brings. Um, because one of my bucket list items, one of my dreams, childhood dreams, is to travel with a van.
Hmm.
Um, so my partner challenged me, saying that, like you're dreaming about it, but like I can't be the one driving you everywhere. You have to learn. Um, so that's why I get myself this goal this year. I'm gonna learn how to drive a car, and then I can start saving for either building a van or getting a van, and then I can travel with a van. So yeah.
I can imagine it, you know. Yeah, let's go, fulfill your dream, drive in, but you driving.
Exactly. That was the thing. He was like, "Well, how come are you like dreaming about this since childhood, but never thought about learning how to drive?"
Yeah, it's so fun. And you're a multi-hyphener, so how do you stay focused?
I can't.
Okay,
Um, but pomodoros mostly.
what is your
Um,
approach of going through things? So if you have to finish something, to do something, like how do you tackle it?
um, so either I either join a co-working session. There are like
Hmm.
lots of other co-working sessions now that I don't host much. Um, or I just open like a timer for myself and I say I'm just gonna focus on this and do that, because it only happens if I feel really overwhelmed and like my brain is rushing, but I need to like stop and do one thing at a time. Um, so I close everything else, like close all other tabs, move my phone away, move my notebooks away, like move all my notes away, and then open like a 25-minute timer. And I say it's only 25 minutes. It's too like, I like convince myself, and then I just try to do one thing at a time. Um, Sometimes it helps that I have like a specific playlist on Spotify
Hmm.
because it's very specific, and I listen to the same thing like it kind of acts as like when I started, my brain goes into like focus mode because I just like trained my brain to work while listening to that music. Um, Mostly that. If I'm really struggling and if I'm not able to co-work with someone, live, like at the same time, I
Mm-hmm.
just text a friend saying that, okay, I'm starting a pump timer, and then I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna let you know when I'm stop. And then usually they're like, they know me, and they're like, okay, and they check in with me like every half an hour or so, like, how are you doing? So I do use peer accountability a lot. Yeah.
How did you discover this power of collaboration and co-working sessions?
How did I discover it? I mean, it came during COVID, as I said, but the first time I thought about it was um, there is an author called Gretchen Rubin. She writes about lots of things, but the time that I listened to her was about four tendencies. So she did like a survey of um, I don't I'm not sure how um, good the survey attendance is because she probably done it in the US. But anyway, what she says is that there are like four types of people or four tendencies of
Mm-hmm.
getting things done, not like as a whole, like a holistic character. But then I'm an obliger, so I'm more motivated to do things if others ask it from me.
Hmm.
And then she was talking about one of the ways that obligers can work better is to get peer accountability and then like do co-working sessions and stuff. So that's how I guess discovered first time that we can do co-working. And then when I tried and it really worked, especially in the midst of lockdown and isolation,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is like a tool that I should use a lot.
It's so interesting when humanity in general talking about like this pandemic, it was like, so hard and scary at the moment. But then, yeah, of course, many people died, and yeah, it's really sad. But also those who survived, let's say, it's so interesting. People found so many different interesting ways of doing things and
Yeah,
started so many businesses. And I feel like, this breaking point, it kind of
yeah,
like, yeah, I don't know how, but it works so interesting.
yeah. I'm curious to, I don't know if we're gonna live that long, but there are like eras in history, like this industrial revolution,
Hmm.
etc., like
Hmm.
things that changed how humans um, work, live, position themselves in society, etc. Lots of movements and eras. I'm curious to see that, like, what will be the things in the long term. For example, we see the surge of remote working, but then we don't know if it's gonna continue or will it be back, etc. So I'm really curious. Like, it definitely changed lots of things, um, but COVID plus climate change, I'm curious to see that, like, in the history. I think it's like a milestone in history.
And it's interesting, we are always talking with my wife about this, like industrial progress and all the stuff. And it feels like nothing new happened, like really, like this super huge step, super huge progress. Because when engine was found, when penicillin was found, and like electricity, we are keep using the same. Yes, we are building on it, but it doesn't feel like we are really creating something in super innovational. So I'm curious, how do you feel about that?
Mm, I don't know. I think computer changed lots of things, haven't it? Um, like, I'm not saying AI because I know that AI comes from the computer science, let's say. Um, Also, one of the things that I always feel fascinating is how, especially our parents' generation. So my parents were communicating through telegraphs,
Hmm.
right? So, and then they had some like, what are they called? Like the lined phones that you have on your
Yeah, yeah.
home,
Hmm.
and it wasn't that common. So you have to like apply for it, get it, maybe if you're lucky, etc. So it wasn't that common to like have phoning someone. Then it became really common. Then it became wireless phones. Then it became cell phones. But then with the cell phones, you were just talking to people or just like texting. Um, I remember it 10 years ago. I went to an internship in Singapore, and then we were really struggling to talk with my parents because like they haven't a good internet connection and Skype was just new, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just 10 years ago. Now we just talk every day, video calls, like it's super normal. Like I find it really interesting because like we born into a generation that like cell phone was a thing. So it just evolved. But for them,
Yeah.
from telegraphs to just talking with video phone, like video calls, and it become really normal. I find it really like that's a huge leap in a person's lifetime.
It's very similar as I'm telling to my kid, like you're already born with tablets and all the smartphones. Like when I was growing up, I was playing football in the street. You like play
Yeah.
football on your tablet. It's weird, but yeah, totally get it. What does your perfect holiday look like?
Mm, so there is the one location in Turkey, in south of Turkey called Olympos.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my perfect holiday looks like I'm spending a week there because it's there mountains and there is this beautiful sea. So it's like best combination. I guess that would be it, or anywhere similar to that. It doesn't have to be same location, but
Okay, so if you are there, what do you prefer, mountains or sea?
the sea. I like to look at the mountains while swimming. That's my ideal
Exactly,
thing.
exactly, exactly, exactly. Yeah, I totally get it. I also like to travel to Turkey or to Greece, and it's pretty
Yeah.
much
Or
usually you have the
Italy.
sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Totally, totally get it. And aside of working from home, do you still prefer working from hotel lobbies to cafes?
Yeah. I was actually just yesterday meeting with a friend at a hotel bar to work from. So definitely, I do like my home office. I do my space. It's colorful. It's me. And then especially because I'm hosting lots of online events, I want to have my own setup. I don't want to rely on, public Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Um, but it gets pretty boring and it's stressful if I don't leave home for a long time. So I try to, I'm not perfectly following that habit, but I try to leave my Thursdays with like no meeting
Mm-hmm.
or no online meeting day. So I try to go out and work from somewhere else, like a cafe or hotels or co-working space, something like that.
Does it usually work to have a day without meetings?
It usually, I mean, it mostly does, yeah. I mean, I'm still working that day, but because I've logged that in my Calendly, so no one actually can book it.
Okay. Yeah, here is a
But then
trick.
if I have to, like, of course, like if I'm meeting a client or a potential client, etc., I might just open that day up. Um, but yeah, that's usually works.
What is your favorite hotel to work from?
Hmm. I used to work from hotels like a couple of years ago. I used to work from hotels a lot. Actually, I don't do that too often now. But just last week, I discovered a new place in central Manchester.
Hmm.
Um, and you pay for a day pass and it's included lunch too. So
Hmm.
I thought, okay, that's a pretty good deal. And then the lobby was that nice as well. So it wasn't too crowded, but there were lots of other co-workers, like people, remote workers as well. So
Hmm.
it felt like a nice environment. So maybe.
Oh wow, I've never heard about buying day pass for hotel lobby, and it's
I
interesting.
think because they're very central and they try, I guess it's a new hotel, so they try to get like they're clever, and they
Hmm.
try to get people in the door. So makes sense.
And it also looks like there is a crowd there, so people are staying. There are a lot of people. Maybe they're also staying in this hotel, so it's like a good
Yeah.
hotel. Yeah, it's really a bold move, exactly. And do you know, like, if you are going to the same hotel many times, do you know any of the people who are working there?
No, I haven't been to a place that much that I would get to know someone. Yeah.
What do you usually do on your work breaks?
Mm. The sad truth, I just scroll Instagram or watch a YouTube video. I watch lots of decluttering videos or organization videos. That's my guilty pleasure.
What about TikTok?
Oh, I don't have TikTok. Um, but I mean, I do look at Instagram Reels a lot, which is kind of equivalent of TikTok, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, because first was TikTok, then every YouTube, and
Yeah,
Instagram added this feature the same. So basically, it's like the small short videos,
yeah,
and it's fun because why I asked, because previously TikTok was mainly connected with some dances, and now you can really learn a lot of great
yeah,
things
yeah,
there, and people are getting so smart. They're creating such amazing small videos that you can, in 1 minute you can learn how to create an amazing dish, or
yeah,
you can acquire some new approach to your business or something like that. And I'm just amazed how people just used kind of fun stuff,
yeah.
weird fun stuff that you learn nothing from, and move this into this.
I think the danger is that I do learn from social media a lot. Again, like Instagram scrolling, especially for like my hobbies, like painting and stuff. I see someone doing something, I just like save it, so I copy them or like learn from them their technique. Business wise, yeah, I mean, I got lots of inspiration to do things, food, traveling, etc. But I guess the danger is that like it is so fast that you don't evaluate in that moment that if it's legit or not.
Mhm, mhm.
So probably if you're going to invest, let's say you're going to watch a 1 hour YouTube course, right? A free on YouTube. So if you're going to invest on 1 hour, you probably do a little bit of research of is this person a proper person to teach me that thing. But on social media, you don't evaluate that. And then you might unintentionally, you might believe everything that has been said on social media. That's, I feel like, one of the dangers. But yeah, it is interesting. I tried TikTok a little bit. I was like, okay, no, this is too much. Like, I can't. I mean, I can't have too many things at once. I need to drop some things.
No, it's interesting that you told about this trust feeling, how to understand that it's legit. And once again, I'm always referring to my kid. He came to me and like, do you know this guy spent like $10,000 to buy some shitty thing on for Minecraft, and he just paid away. And I was like, do you really think that he bought it? Maybe he created another account and just bought it to make a YouTube video. Have you ever thought about that? He was like, no. I was like, now you know how it works.
Exactly. Yeah. Or same with our parents as well. So I guess because then but for example, I keep warning my parents because my mom especially have a tendency to just believe anything, and not anything, but like she can think that everyone is talking about this thing. And like, it's not everyone. It is
Your
because you're
feed.
just interested in this. It
Yeah.
is what you see all day, every day. And yes, it is popular, but it is not the only thing that like blah blah blah. So it is hard. Sometimes it's hard to explain even to ourselves, right? We don't know how it works, and we're always, and as being freelancers or like being self-employed, you're also trying to crack the algorithm all the time as well, so it is exhausting.
Yeah. Crack the code of life.
Yeah, yeah, community is the code of life.
Yay. Why did you decide to have a degree in engineering?
Why did I decide? I don't know the why behind it, but um so I studied so in Turkey the system is a little bit different. So you choose um like a subject at high school.
Mm-hmm.
So you either choose natural sciences or social sciences, or um probably the other one is like art and history or something like that. So I chose natural sciences so that in university, I kind of have to study something, either like medicine to become a doctor or like an engineering degree. And industrial engineering is like a little bit of like light engineering. So it's still engineering, but you learn about supply chain management. So it's a bit like business of engineering, which
Okay.
I actually enjoyed a lot. Yeah, maybe that's
So
why.
it's like not creating engines, it's more like business related stuff.
Mostly, yeah. Most of the people who graduate from industrial engineering either go into like marketing jobs or consultancy jobs, or supply chain management kind of things, yeah, or logistics, like things like that.
At that time, have you thought about working in some corporate huge organization?
I did work in a corporate huge organization. I could only work a year or so. I couldn't stand more.
So for you, what is the difference between being self-employed freelancer and working in an organization?
I think the biggest thing is, and it's not kind of like just being a self-employed as well. I loved working with small teams as well, or small businesses. Same, like for example, as a self-employed or like as a freelancer, I don't enjoy that much working for a big company too, even if as a freelancer, because I guess I'm very impact driven and I want to see my impact.
Mm-hmm.
And then in a big corporation, it's not too easy to see your impact because then you're just one of the smallest cogs. Um, and it's okay. It's how things work. But then I guess for me to get motivated, I need to see the effects.
Mm-hmm.
So in a small company, small team, I can see the results really easily, and I know that okay, I've done this, or like I helped doing this. So that's why I think I do like to work in small environments.
Got it. You know, Edge, I wish to have the sky's the limit to our conversation, but time is the limit. So let's jump to the rapid fire questions.
Okay,
Sea or ocean?
C.
A cup of tea or a glass of prosecco?
Depending on the time of the day.
What are your favorite color and song?
Color, probably yellow, as you can see. Song, I'm hyper listening to a Turkish band nowadays. So the song called Monday in Turkish, it's Pazartesi. So that's probably my current favorite song.
If you were a superhero, what superpower would you have?
Oh, that's a question I ask in icebreakers to others, but I never thought about my own answer.
Here we are. It's time.
Oh, you got me. Superpower. Oh, just driving, I guess. Driving in any vehicle that I can operate.
Especially in a van.
Yes. A van, a plane, like a ship, a car, motorcycle.
Who do you learn from? Name just one person.
Oh, so Anna Maria is, of course, the first one.
Exactly, exactly.
She's just like showing off. I'm I'm saying this because she's my friend. I'm annoyed that she's always surprised to hear that we're learning from her. I'm like, come on now, like at least don't act surprised.
Yeah. And you know, it's fun. I remember when Said once created this word Anna Marine, just helping people and like teaching them some
Yeah,
things.
yeah, no, yeah. I sometimes I need to mute her, like mute her notifications. And same with Rosie. So Rosie is another person. Rosie Sherry of Rosie Land. Um, I confessed to this to her as well. That's why I'm open to talking about it. I sometimes unsubscribe from her newsletters because then I'm like, okay, too much information, too much knowledge. I
Yeah,
got, I
yeah.
got, yeah, I got overwhelmed sometimes with the, and also it's about like, I guess you shouldn't, but I do compare with myself because I do aspire to be like them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to. I would love to have that capacity to read, learn, consume that many resources, and then being able to articulate them, the insights. I'm not that good at that thing, like of consuming things and then sharing my insights. So I guess that's why sometimes I get a little bit like, yeah, comparing myself and feeling like, oh, I want to be like them.
Totally get you. And there are so many newsletters and there are so many amazing people out there. And like, I wish I could just sit for a whole day and reading all the things they share and like having conversation. But no, I have work to do. I have a life to live, you know? It's so yeah, I totally get what you are talking about. And name two people who I should definitely reach out to and have this conversation with.
Oh, haven't thought about this. Wait, oh, I'm struggling. Why? Because I'm thinking the reason that I struggle is that I'm thinking of people that I really know very well and also people that I don't know but would like to learn their stories from. So that's why I'm like, okay, which one I choose? I think you would love to chat with Ben, which is my previous employer from Othership. He is a tech founder.
Mhm.
He is super interesting and then passionate about community and building a community as well. So that would be Ben Caro from Othership
Mhm.
would be my first one. And the other one would be maybe my friend Hedy. Hedy is a well-being. Actually, she's not a community person, like a community professional.
Yeah.
She's a well-being coach, but she has also very similar story and values with me of like creating a life of like a working life that you actually enjoy, but like not making it a like a burden to yourself. So
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Is there one question that I definitely should have asked you but didn't?
no, you haven't asked about what is my favorite or like what is my first bucket list item.
So, what is it?
Let's check. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So that's how it works. So you have your bucket list prepared. Oh yeah, let's check it.
It's
Let's
a
do
small
it.
notebook. Were you
It's
surprised?
small, but it's like
Yeah.
yeah, not that small, I would
Okay.
say.
The first one is get a van.
Okay, okay, got it.
Yeah. So yeah. Um.
And it's
But
interesting that your first one is get a van. So,
yeah.
not even like learn driving, but
Yeah. Exactly. So actually, learn how to drive is not on my bucket list.
yeah, exactly why, like if you have a van, you have no choice. Basically, you have to.
Yeah, you can see that I'm not quite good with realism. I'm a little bit of an optimistic person. So I guess I'm assuming that if I have a van, I would magically learn how to drive it.
And I believe that you would, because that's exactly how it works. If you have something that you really want to use but can't, like you just have to, you have kind of like we all have choices, but you kind of have no choice in that case. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, AJ, I first of all I laughed a lot. So thank you very much for this for lightening my morning because we're recording it in the morning. And I'm I'm so excited, so interested to get to learn you, to get to know about you more as a human. Because as I told you already, I know a lot about you as a professional, as an expert. I see you on journalist world, on LinkedIn, on Slack, and everywhere in the community world. But first of all, welcome to the yellow team. Yay, yellow team unite. And then I've heard many, many, many things very similar to me. And I don't know why, but it feels like we're already friends. Even though we didn't meet in person, even though we didn't have like many conversations, we just met here and there for a few times. But yeah, I really think that you're my type of person. So it's, yeah, thank you very much for being an honest and so open and shareable person. And yeah, let's, you know, it's just the beginning of our journey, even though it's like it's always continuous, but I bet it's just the beginning of our
Yeah,
friendship. So thank you very
yeah.
much for that.
No, thank you for reminding me. I felt the same as well. I mean, also, I felt very honored to be invited here. I'm like, oh, yes, finally, I'm on community life. Um, and I agree with you. I think that's the beauty of community peeps is that, like, I guess we're good with being open and vulnerable and like in social media or in the communities that we hang out. So we feel like we already know each other, which is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but then yeah, I should do like a we should do like a reverse version of this to you. Maybe 100, episode 100.
Always, always,
We
always
should
happy to do
we
that,
should
you
get
know.
together as invitees, like 99 guests, and then we should
99
ask.
guests. Can you imagine we won't fit a Zoom room, you know?
Yeah, yeah, you need a pro account for it. We can each ask one question to you to get to know you better.
100 questions. Is it even possible to answer them in 1 hour? Or like just yes and no?
Yeah.
But it's a
Oh,
really interesting
you should have
idea.
thought about it before starting this.
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting. I've, you know, it's so fun, but I usually just start things and I never plan it. It just goes and just it's just so fun at the end.
Yeah.
But also one thing, like up to your point, one thing that um Akash told me, and it's still in my mind, and it might be a little bit crazy, but it's still in my mind. He told me like, why don't Yuri interview Yuri? And I was like, oh wow, is it even possible? And then like I don't have too many people living in my mind. But then I was like, you know, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm
Yeah.
getting
Well,
buy-in and
maybe
but it's crazy.
maybe
Yeah, anyway,
we can stalk you as well.
I would love to have this conversation with you. I would love to answer all your questions. So if you ever ready for that, just
Yeah.
let me know. Let's reverse it, you know, because I'm kind of trying to share here and there, but still, yeah, I love talking to people. So please do
Yeah.
that. I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And yeah, see you in the community world.